Guys, it's the Political Kid here with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about what if Robert F. Kennedy wasn't assassinated in 1968 and went on to win the 1968 presidential election, and how that would change American history overall. I know I've been talking a lot about Republicans, but I also want to talk about Democrats so it's more fair to everyone. So enjoy the video. Basically, what happened in our timeline is that Robert F. Kennedy, the brother of the late John F. Kennedy, ran for president in 1968, running against a lot of other people in the Democratic primaries. However, he was assassinated in California before the nomination happened, so he wasn't able to get the nomination and even try in the election. So there's a couple issues that we could fix so he could survive and also go on and win the presidency, and we're going to be talking about that. So one thing we can definitely do is that there's way more security so the assassination doesn't happen. I know that does sound a little, so for him to win the presidency, he just needs to get more security guards. Well, no, that's not it. He just needs to go into more public places that are secured for a lot of people and make sure that the people there don't have guns, which unfortunately happened, and then the guy shot RFK in our timeline. And then we need to make sure that Lyndon Johnson drops out of the primaries a little bit earlier, and he's reluctant to endorse Hubert Humphrey, and Lyndon Johnson's more open to the primary system, so that they could have a nominee that's based on what the people want. Our timeline, instead of a ditch attempt to get just the establishment in the way for the nomination, we'd have RFK going into the convention, well liked, well beloved, and Lyndon Johnson realizes that it would be better for the Democrats to nominate a person who the people want instead of a person just put in place by there. So Lyndon Johnson would reluctantly endorses RFK so that the Democrats could win and there's no Republican stronghold within the election. So great. We got RFK to finally win the nomination, and there is still a couple issues though. He needs to campaign in California, Illinois, and Texas a lot, and he needs to make sure that LBJ could at least reluctantly endorse him and say that he's a better candidate than Nixon so that the Democrats could win another 4 years. So in this timeline, I feel that RFK could barely win California, win Texas by a little bit, and also win Illinois by a bigger margin than the other two, which would give him the majority over 270. And I feel the reason why is that people would go, oh, it's a rematch between the Kennedy versus the Nixon, so I wouldn't vote for the loser again. And also, we could have RFK trying to challenge Nixon to go into a debate, but I would say that in this timeline, he would duck out of a debate, and that RFK could really make that so he's seen as he can't be presidential. So we could have RFK win the presidency in 1968. During the election cycle, I could definitely see RFK moderating his Vietnam stances so he could get more moderates on board, even though in the primaries he was definitely a lot more liberal in this position. So when we enter his presidency, I could definitely see we slowly take away our resources from South Vietnam while also making sure that they don't fall immediately while we leave. So the Vietnam War would be more seen as a waste to people, which would definitely hurt the Democrats considering they went into Vietnam, but then a few years later they just went out with tens of thousands of American deaths in the region. Even though 1972 was a landslide for Nixon, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same for RFK. I mean, they're out of Vietnam, which means that a lot of people would attack RFK for kind of wasting their time to be in Vietnam, and just the Democrats in general. And I think that he would still win 1972. However, it would definitely be way more closer than the 1972 in our timeline. I could see RFK getting around 300 electoral votes to someone like maybe Nelson Rockefeller, or other Republicans getting around like 230. So that's my take, but he would he would really be popular with a lot of ethnic groups. However, he would have a large trouble getting with more white suburban voters. But in this campaign, he could try to get to them and try to make their economic issues more cared about. And I could see him winning the 1972 election. I would say that RFK's second term would be similar to Gerald Ford's term. However, it would definitely be a little bit more popular than Nixon's second term and Gerald Ford's partial term, considering that there would be no Watergate scandal and we kind of move away from the Vietnam issues. But that the Republicans would definitely get a large majority with like white suburban middle class voters, so I could definitely see them winning in 1976 and 1980, with maybe Ronald Reagan winning those two elections. Yeah, with someone maybe like Bob Dole running as their running mate. After 2 terms of Republican majority, I could I didn't clarify this like in the last few minutes, but Ronald Reagan would win by a considerable margin in 1976, but lose with a lesser margin in 1980. So the Republicans would still be in the territory with popularity. However, I could see someone like Bob Dole or George H.W. Bush winning in 1984. So they would barely win and even be closer than 1980. So, yeah. I'm basically gonna just briefly talk about the elections after this. In 1988, I could see Mario Cuomo running for the nomination and winning the general election. In 1992, I could see him try to run for second term, and he would win by a closer margin. However, the end of the Cold War would definitely help him a little bit. In 1996, I could see someone like Pat Buchanan trying to run. However, with his way more conservative stances, I feel that he would definitely lose against whoever was the Democratic candidate. I could see someone like George W. Bush running, or maybe John McCain running in 2000, based on if George H.W. Bush was president, and whoever was running in the Republican territory would win in 2000 and 2004. I could see Barack Obama winning in 2008 and 2012. I could see someone like Marco Rubio or Donald Trump winning in 2016. I still think there would be a Vice President Joe Biden in our time within Barack Obama's 2-term presidency. So I could see him trying to run for the presidency in 2020 and winning. And in 2024, whoever won in 2016 would probably win in 2024. Going to be it, guys. I'm going to try to make a little bit more shorts from here on out. If you want to comment any ideas for me, go on ahead, and thank you for all the support that you've given me within this month.